Good afternoon and welcome to the Westport Board of Health March 31st, 2025 meeting, which I am calling to order. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, then moving on to the director's written report. Any questions on that? If not, we'll go to the verbal report.
Okay, again, the Red Cross blood drives are listed out at St. John the Baptist Church. The next blood drive will be held April 17th, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., May 15th, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., June 12th, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., and July 17th, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Again, those are the Red Cross blood drives being held at St. John the Baptist Church. The temporary ACO position has been filled. Right now, the position is currently in training, and we expect the position to move to fully on-call duties in about 2 to 2.5 weeks. So somewhere around the 22nd, 23rd of the month, we expect the new person to be able to take over on-call duties. And again, this is temporary until we know if we get the budget at town meeting for FY26.
Right. Yep. Okay. Great. At least it's fills a hole for a few months. So that's great.
And that will ease up for both the police department and for Nick.
Transfer station improvements. The plan is to use the $75,000 that was earmarked to the town for transfer station improvements. We're going to pave. So basically, we're going to pave and reseal, fill the cracks, pave some unpaved areas, and seal and fill the cracks in the existing paved areas. The project includes various paving and surface improvement tasks. These tasks involve crack filling, seal coating, installation of new asphalt in designated areas, and the painting of directional arrows, lane markings, and parking spaces on the newly paved and resealed surfaces. The goal is to improve the appearance and functionality, drainage, and safety of the paved areas for both employees and visitors. We're also going to do some signage updates, which will include updating the signage, aiming to improve visibility, clarity, and give the people who come in to use the transfer station better visual information on the signs and the directionals and all that. The update will include the removal of outdated signs, the installation of new signs, and any necessary adjustments to meet current standards and regulations. So that's where we're at with the earmarked $75,000 for the transfer station.
So we're just waiting for the contract to be executed to move forward.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the contract to be signed by the town and by DEP, and once we get that, then we can start moving forward with the project.
Okay. Great. So director approved plans.
Sure, we have a 5-bedroom upgrade on a 104,544 square foot lot at 1782 Drift Road for Jeffrey Cornell. This is an upgrade that's going from 4 to 5 bedrooms, and it's going to use an AX20 Advantex and a Quick 4. We have a 2-bedroom repair on a 10,585 square foot lot at 104 Sylvia's Lane for Brendan Donato, utilizing a Quick 4. This one will require a deed restriction, and this one is replacing a cesspool. We have a 4-bedroom new construction on 673 River Road for Catherine Barnum, utilizing a Quick 4 and a Singular 960 DN. And we have a 4-bedroom new construction on a 132,711 square foot lot on 1779 Drift Road for Holly Borges and Seth Guinan. utilizing a stone bed in the singular.
Okay. And so we just need a deed restriction on the Silver's Lane. Anything else? They've all got Concom, so.
All right, so I move that we endorse the director approved plans for 1782 Drift Road, 104 Sylvia Lane with a 2-bedroom deed restriction, 673 River Road, and 1779 Drift Road.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2-0 with 1 absent. Okay. Next is 109 Briggs Road. No, I'm sorry, minutes.
Minutes.
We have the minutes from March 17th.
I had one thing changed on the minutes. Where are the minutes? There it is. See if I can find it. There was a statement about a series of let's see, what is this? Okay, so it said down in board member updates, Ms.
Yeah.
Amaral provided an update and reported a planned series of speeches in the public schools on addiction. Really, it's one
Okay.
speech by Chris Herron, which is actually tomorrow morning.
Oh.
So it wasn't a series of speeches, just one speech in
Okay.
public schools.
Okay. Anything else? Take a motion.
So I move that we approve the minutes with the addendum or the correction.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Okay. All right. Okay, next is 109 Briggs Road. And I'm going to turn it over to Matt for discussion about what the issues are there and how we should proceed.
So 109 Briggs Road is a property that we've been dealing with for quite some time. The exterior of the property, as you can see from what was in your packet, it has quite the buildup of trash and debris, which is rodent harbor, mosquito, and harbor areas. So I'd like the board to vote, or take a look and vote to see if they consider the property to be a source of filth or a cause of sickness. That way we can exercise our right under Chapter 111, 123 to pursue the removal of the nuisance separately from the state sanitary code.
Okay. So these are recent pictures, and this has been going on, has not been resolved. There's a lot of trash and debris in the yard and on the deck.
My understanding also is that there's been more than one complaint or concern that's been expressed about this property, so.
So the question is, would we determine this to be, look at the statutory language, a determination of nuisance, source of filth, or cause of sickness, which would allow the board to issue a notice with a timeline for clearing up the nuisance.
It appears that way to me, and because of the also the more than one complaint and that's been made.
Okay, so why don't I make a motion to deem there to be a nuisance at 109 Briggs Road, and direct the board, the director to proceed with notice for correction.
So the general law says the board can order it within 24 hours or within such other time that it considers reasonable.
Mhm.
I would suggest that 24 hours is a bit unreasonable,
Right.
given the scope of it, but also taking into consideration this has been going on for a while, I would suggest 72 hours.
Okay. Amend the motion to include within 72 hours. And then, if they fail to comply, the board can, should I include well, let's do that motion first.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to declare a nuisance and require an order to correct within 72 hours for 109 Briggs Road. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. 2-0 with one abstention, one absence, excuse me. Should we do a motion about section 125, which would authorize, if within the 72 hours after notice they've not proceeded, that authorize the board to proceed with.
I don't think we need to do that yet.
Okay.
We can come back to that, like at another meeting if, at the next meeting and say they didn't do it or they did do it.
Okay.
But what we can, if the board can do, is authorize, if they don't get it cleaned within the 72 hours, to start issuing fines, not more than $1,000 for every day during which he or she knowingly violates such order. So you guys can set that amount and just let me know, and I can automatically, if this doesn't get cleaned up, I can automatically get into that
Okay.
and without
this
having
is
to come back to the
under,
board.
Non-criminal disposition then.
It's under section 123.
Oh, okay.
It's under, 123
Yeah,
language.
based on that statute.
Yeah.
What do you think is reasonable?
Um,
I don't think 1,000 is reasonable.
no, I'm not gonna go there. $50 a day,
That seems not enough.
but every day constitutes a separate violation. It adds up pretty quickly. But
Well-
that would be, I guess,
That's-
my recommendation.
Okay. Donna, any thoughts on that?
What would be your recommendation?
$50 a day.
$50.
That's your recommendation, is it?
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation would be to, because the
That's right, you said it wasn't enough.
yeah,
Okay. Got it. Okay, I'm fine with that. I think, that's the first step.
Yep.
Right?
We can escalate it up to 1,000 if we need to. Okay, so I'll make a motion to authorize the director to issue fines should the owner or occupant fail to comply with the order, up to $50 a day. And we'll revisit it if necessary. Hopefully not.
Do you want to second that? I will.
Motion made and seconded to authorize issuance of fines if necessary for 109 Briggs Road. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 2-0 with one absence. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is Pine Ridge Estates. This is a comprehensive permit for a proposed development off American Legion Highway. Is that right? American Legion, it's off American Legion Highway, am I forgetting?
yeah. Westport Lakes Road is right over next to Grand Pine Way.
Yeah. The applicant has requested a whole lot of waivers, mostly from the planning board rules and regulations, and one from our local septic regulation. I also picked out for discussion the waiver request from the planning board subdivision plan form and contents, because of the way that was worded. it says waive requirement that when municipal sewers are not available to the site, that test pits are required by the Board of Health. So, the way that sounds is they don't want to have to do test pits. I don't believe that's what they mean, but it's unclear, so we want to make sure that they, that is not that's a requirement under Title V and could not be waived. And so that's my recommendation, is that we suggest that not be granted because of the way that's worded. It could be misinterpreted, and in a project like this, we don't want any confusion. So they either need to clarify that request or deny it, is my recommendation on that. Any thoughts on it?
I agree with that.
Okay. And then the other waiver request that is applicable for the Board of Health is our local septic regulation. They are asking for a waiver of Section 10 only, which is the new construction requirement for essentially denitrifying systems. This is a project of 38, I believe.
38 houses, 89 bedrooms.
89 bedrooms on lots sizing varying from 9,000 plus square feet to maybe 30,000 square feet. So some of them, you know, there's nitrogen loading limitations. There's obviously a very high density, and we don't have any sewer in town. So this is all going to be individual wells on those properties, plus septic. So my recommendation here is also for the ZBA not to grant this waiver request.
And I'm in agreement with that as well.
Okay. As you know, before Phil went on vacation, he made a number of other comments. Most of them are really focused on Title V issues around nitrogen loading, shared systems, and so on that may or may not be applicable depending on how this project proceeds. So I recommended that we just make a note that the applicant really should, they have not approached the Board of Health, have not reviewed any of the project design with the Board of Health at this point, and that they should do so as soon as possible, because there are going to be a number of complicated issues that should be discussed, and that would, I think, be in their best interest to pursue that, and that we reserve comment for, and the authority obviously still for the Title V related approvals for when they actually submit plans to the board for review under Title V. So that's the gist of it. I had drafted over the weekend some comments to sort of reflect that, and I did send them to you to be able to look at them before today's meeting. So if you're okay with that, I would suggest that we make a motion to request that the planning board, the zoning board of appeals deny waiver request of section 3B, 3P definitive plan, which is a planning board rule, because of the wording issues there, as well as deny the request for of the section 10 of Westport Local Septic System Regulation.
So moved.
Motion is made. I will second that. All in favor? Aye. That's 2-0 with 1 absence.
I'll put it on letterhead and email, add a signature line, and then send it off to to Maria and Roger and the Board of Health.
Yeah, the hearing for that is April 9th. I will be out of town that day, and Phil will be absent. If there's a need for Board of Health representation, can either you, Donna, or Matt scan?
I may be able to attend that. Do you know what time is the CBT is?
I would imagine it's in the evening. ZBA rather hearings, but I don't know offhand.
I think they are.
Yeah, Matt can get you info, or it'll be posted.
Zoning board,
Yeah,
yes, 6:30, 6:30.
6:30. Thank you, Gal.
You should be able to make that.
Okay.
So the, tomorrow morning, I can put this on letterhead, and, do you want the 3 board members, do you want me to have Pat use the stamp, or to stamp it, or do you want them signed, how do you want this done?
You can sign on behalf of the board.
Okay,
Just make that simple. And it can be recorded, the board voted, you know, 2-0 with 1 absence at its meeting on Monday, the 31st.
okay.
You can just forward the comments, that'd be great. Okay, let's move on. We have 4:30 appointments, so we'll move on. We have a few minutes for board member updates.
So I'm continuing to work on the opioid settlement fund advisory committee. I met with Jim, town manager, and Nicole to talk about, once we receive proposals for use of the funds, how the money would then roll out, what is the process, and there are some questions that need to be answered. I wanted to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row when people start presenting ideas how they want to utilize those funds. We have another meeting on the 15th. I'm also working on Mental Health Awareness Month. I have nailed down 2 presentations, and I'm working on 2 other options. And as I said in the correction of the minutes, the collaborative is paying for this, but Chris Herron will be speaking to the 8th to the 12th grade about his journey through addiction and recovery. And this was spearheaded by the Opioid Settlement Fund Advisory Committee. We weren't ready to use our funds, but we thought it was really important to start utilizing and talking about it in the community. And also part of that is I will be meeting with the parent and teachers organization next week, and I will be talking with them about how they might request funds to help students and what kinds of programs would they like to see happen, and then open it up to come up with a date to do a focus group with parents who are very interested. So that's some of the stuff that I've been working on.
The disbursement of funds, does that still have to be voted on by the select board? Or
Yes.
Okay.
So the process is we're an advisory committee. So what we're doing is data collection right now. We're looking at what is the need in Westport, what services are available in communities around us. So we have speakers come and talk about what they're doing and how we might collaborate with those already in established programs like STAR. There's a FAST program in Fall River. We have a speaker coming to talk about what they're doing within the police department, the outreach that they do. We've had a couple of speakers. One, people didn't know about the program that the police department does, where they actually, after someone has an overdose, a plainclothes police person and a social worker will go see them in their home and provide resources, bring them a kit that would have Narcan in it, as well as fentanyl test strips, and then kind of address what's going on with the person. And as I said, I believe I said before in a meeting, I asked about how many kids were there when the parent had overdosed, and the police officer said more than half. So when I'm talking about kids in school and addressing those needs, a lot of them are struggling with parents who have an addiction, who may have been there when parents overdosed, or for grandparents who are raising their grandkids, and because their own child is struggling with substance use disorder. So So we're in the beginning stages, but again, we are advisory, so we want to, we'll be sending out and advertising in the community, anyone who has a program that meets relapse prevention, risk reduction, education, and then people can apply for grant funds, but we don't know how much yet. But people would be able to apply for grant funds so they could do programs within Westport. And then once we do that work, then we go to the select board and say, here are 3 programs that we support and we want the select board to approve that funds be used for this. So, because we don't have the purse strings.
Great. Okay, and I just want to also point out that you help facilitate a caregiver support group.
Oh, yes. So that's the other thing that I do. Once a month, there's a caregiver support group. We can see what the date is. That's held at the library. I run that at a request of someone who's caring for her husband. And we started off with 3 people, and I now have 12, 13 people coming to get support in there as they're caring for a loved one. The next meeting is at the library from 2:30 to 4 on April 10th. And anyone is welcome to join us. And it is being advertised through Coastal Neighbors. So there's a contact information. Wendy Goldberg is the person people can call to contact and get more information and then let us know that you're coming.
I saw it in Charles too, I think. Maybe somewhere.
Probably.
Because I'm not in the Coastal Neighbor Network,
Yeah.
but I saw it somewhere, so great. Okay, great, thank you. I just mentioned earlier before the meeting started, I have submitted the next monthly Westport Health Notes column on green burial, home burial options. So that may run this week or next week. So that's all I've got, and we have bingo 4:30. I'm going to call that 4:30 hearing, for 930 American Legion Highway for Cheryl Ann DeMello with Mark Rodrigues representing.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Mark Rodrigues, Analysis and Design Engineering. I'm here to talk to you about a local waiver for the property located at 930 American Legion Highway. Cheryl Ann DeMello, LLC, is the owner of the property. This property is located at the corner of Gifford Road and American Legion Highway. It's a multi-use building, which includes several retail shops and also residential living space totaling 8 bedrooms. So we've got a relatively large system that we're replacing. What is in the ground now is actually 2 systems that have evolved over time. There's a leaching pit and also a leaching field that are there now. Those are circa 1977 and 85, if my memory serves me correctly. They are currently in hydraulic failure. The owner of the property is pumping those tanks. There are 2 tanks on site right now, and that's within a month's period they're filling up. So the system is absolutely in hydraulic failure.
I'm just doing a little bit of that.
There we go. So the applicant here is looking to replace the existing system. Given the fact that we've got a public water supply well, there was care taken into observing the setbacks that we need from the well, which we've achieved. 2 tanks, one of which is elevated in the parking area, the paved parking area. So what I'm proposing to do is to gain access to the effluent discharging from the large building in those 2 locations where the tank to the east and the west are located. And then I've got a denitrification system, a singular 960 DN, 1,500 gallons per day. I got some information together and reviewed it with Matt beforehand for design flows and what we're actually dealing with there. So that represents a relatively accurate Title V design flow summary, which comes out to 1,442 gallons per day. Current system per records that I have, is more like 560 gallons per day. So the system did its thing, significantly under-designed. I did recently take receipt of the public water supply records, the ASR that was just recently done. And we've got an average daily flow over 2024 of about, I think it was like 490 gallons per day. So the system is designed per Title V, replacing the field system at 1442, and we had 560, and it looks like the public water supply well's about 490. So the numbers are about right. So we do have adequate capacity for the proposed system here. Given the elevation of the inverts, the cast iron inverts that exit the building, the system's low in the ground, as is the existing systems, plural, both of them are in the ground, quite deep. In an effort to try to avoid a pump chamber, I maintain gravity, which leads to the one local upgrade approval, which is the depth of the soil absorption system in excess of 36 inches. So I proposed heavy-duty H20 loaded chambers per the design guidance for those chambers, and I have approximately 50 to 53 inches with the crown on the system versus the 36. So the local waiver that I'm requesting is for the depth of the chambers at 50 to 53 inches below grade versus 36, and I'm proposing heavy-duty chambers. So the long and short of it, it was a little complicated to get there, but I feel confident that this is probably a good system to replace what's in the ground now.
Okay. Great. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Matt for his comments.
Yeah, Mark and I went over this, the pre-existing flows, what's actually there. Mark came up with these flows, and it works very well for what's there. So, and the design is as good as you're going to get, I think, for this location. And it does have the Singular 960DN. I think this is a good design, and I don't see any issues with it.
Okay. So, this would require approval with the one waiver, of course, compliance with the total nitrogen testing and all the yada yada stuff.
That is correct. My understanding as well, Chair.
And have any questions or, I wanted to know how many apartments there are in this?
There's a total of 8 bedrooms.
Yeah, but how many apartments?
There are 2 in the middle on the top level, 1 in the back. So 930G, if you were looking at the plan, W and F are the 3 apartments.
Okay.
And then number 930 is a 3-bedroom residence. Total number of bedrooms is 8 in this case for that property.
So there are 8 bedrooms and 3 apartments.
Yeah.
8 bedrooms total, 3 apartments, 1 primary residence,
Oh,
Oh, okay. So 3 apartments and a residence.
and a residence.
and do you know how many bedrooms in the, well, it must be,
It's 3.
okay.
It's 1, 2, 2, and 3, totaling 8.
We don't need to do any deed restriction for bedroom count or anything?
I mean, they can't, I think they're at their limit as far as like maximum of what they can do. I mean, they can always change things out, I think. Like the hair salons generally take 100 gallons per day per chair.
That's correct.
They could always one day change that into a retail store, which is far less flow, and do other things there. But yeah, you could deed restrict the where they couldn't get any more bedrooms than they have now.
Is that?
I mean, it's kind of a tricky because they could eliminate commercial space and, you know, and to such a degree where they could put another apartment in if they wanted, another bedroom if they wanted to.
And when I was with Matt, if I may, we did look at a number of iterations. What if the retail store became an office? So I think we were rather conservative in what we've done there to give them some flexibility and change of use.
I think we can always look at it on it too. If they do want to make a change or add something, we'll look at it ahead of time. I think that'd probably be the best way to approach it.
Yeah, so I just want some way to make sure that the owners understand that, they got a big plan to change, that they should check in with the Board of Health first, kind of make
Yes.
sure that it's for you.
And I think that in this case, and we've been through this before in Westport, with change of use, so it's something that they should check on, and we've got sort of a living design flow matrix too that can allow a quick look without getting too complicated to assist the board if that should arise.
Okay.
Let me ask you, Matt, if there's a change of use for if the nail salon becomes a retail store, does that have to go through the Board of Health for change of use? I don't know. It's a question. I don't know the answer.
No, I don't think so, because as long as it's within the flow criteria, it wouldn't have to. The only time it really would have to come before us is if they were gonna increase flow and make a change to the septic point, but if they were just gonna change the store type, I don't believe it would have to.
There was some discussion by the owner to give consideration to potentially putting up another retail building there. I personally discouraged him from doing so because of the nitrogen loading limits on the lot. So I think I convinced them to abandon that thought that they had, that you're way up there in terms of loading.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and D-Night was really a no-brainer in this case. It was going to be D-Night.
Okay,
So
well,
does that answer the question about whether we need a deed restriction?
yeah, I think we don't need a deed restriction, we just wanna have some sort of trigger. I don't know if I don't think the deed restriction is the right way to trigger that, but a review, should there be any change.
I mean, these owners seem to be responsible enough to know, and having to go through all of this, that if they do want to make a change, I think they're going to be proactive and talk with Mark or call the office to get some guidance before making the change, and that's when we can kind of walk them through it.
Okay. I'm all set if you want to.
Okay. So I move that we approve the plans from 30 American Legion Highway and by Cheryl Ann DeMello LLC, dated 3/11/25. For the variance of depth of the chambers, leaching chambers 50 inches or 53 inches below the finished grade versus the 36, with the following conditions: a hold harmless agreement, total nitrogen testing for 2 years. Anything else?
Might need Concom review,
Oh,
because I don't see it stamped on the plan.
okay, and Concom review.
Okay, I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous, 2-0 with 1 absence. Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you so much. The applicant is very interested to get this rolling, given the fact he's pumping both his tanks out every 3 weeks. So I might give the girls in the office a call to see if they can get the paperwork out. He's got the IA form. I filled out all the other paperwork for the deed notice for the IA system, etc. So he is anxious to go.
Good.
So,
Okay.
and as am I think. Get it fixed.
Do we know who's going to be installing it?
Reposa Construction.
Okay. Yeah, I would just give Nancy a call in the morning tomorrow
Yes.
and get her going with that, and we'll get this over to Concom in the meantime.
Yeah, they've got their check, so I didn't bring them a copy of the plan, but I did go visit them, and I concluded the check.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much, Rich.
Thank you, have a good night. Okay. Do we have any topics for the next regular meeting or anything unanticipated?
Can we just vote on continuing the next one?
Oh,
Yes.
yes, sorry.
So I move that we continue the variance hearing for 10D Drive till April 14th at 4:30 p.m.
Second that motion, all in favor? Aye, that's unanimous with 1 absence, 2-0, okay. And that's it, right? Okay, anything else? Not? Then, okay, take a
Well,
motion.
being there no further business, I move that we adjourn this meeting at 4:42 p.m.
I think that's a record. Okay, second that motion, all in favor? Aye, that's unanimous, 2-0. Thank you very much, everyone.